Hi guys, welcome back to Irish Footy Vlogs and welcome back to another Premier Division show. Just going to talk about Shamrock Rovers and Dundalk, which was on a Monday night, and give our predictions for the upcoming games on Friday night. Also, subscribe to the channel guys. If you haven't hit that button, please hit that button. Let's get into this. So at Tallaght Stadium on Monday night, did finish Shamrock Rovers 1, Dundalk 1. Dundalk's third draw of the season, and there's been late goals in every single one of the games, hasn't there? This time they benefited from the late goal and fully deserved their draw, to say the very least. Shamrock Rovers obviously had their first game of the season on Friday, and I always thought that was going to pose a problem having the second game so quickly on Monday. Stephen Bradley kind of reacted accordingly as such. He made 8 changes to decide to beat St. Patrick's Day on Friday, and on paper it looked good, but there was something telling me that might be a little bit too much. And I think it proved to be the case. 8 changes is a lot of changes. It can upset the rhythm a little bit, and I think it did do that. Despite that, they started very well. Roberto Lopez scored a fantastic header to give them the lead after 19 minutes. Brilliant header from Lopez, but for the second half, Dundalk completely dominated. Ruby missed a great chance. A number of openings where you thought they're going to nick something here. When Vinnie Leonard gets sent off then later in the game for a second yellow on Green. Actually, it wasn't second yellow. He got straight red, but he was on a yellow. For a foul on Green, as he looks like he could get through. I actually felt the yellow would suffice and he would have got the red anyway, because I think Green was kind of moving away from goal. But to be fair, Leonard probably didn't need to pull him back. I felt he could have stayed with him and probably could have caught Green. But you felt that at that point that was probably game over, and Rovers emptied the bench, brought on the likes of Victor Mulroney, etc. And Green, of course, but couldn't really find a winner. Dundalk were still a threat. They were still a threat, and obviously a corner in the last minute. McGinty does not do well with it, doesn't deal with it at all. Danny Mullen is there to knock it into the net, but it's no more than Dundalk deserved. They completely dominated the second half, and they made a good start. Look at having won 3 draws, and I've watched every game they played in, so I've seen them a fair bit, and looking very strong at full-back as well. They made 4 changes to the game, which was a little bit different. Obviously, the Rovers making the 8. And I'll just get back to that for a second. I think it was a bit too much. I think in hindsight, Bradley might look back and say probably was a bit too many changes. I understood why he done it though, because heavy pitches, first game of the season on a Friday, second game of the season on the Monday, and he probably feared maybe a bit of obviously tiredness and possible injury, to be honest, which I fully understand why he did it. And hindsight is a great thing, but they lack that rhythm for me, and still 4 points in the first 2 games for Shamrock Rovers, who are notorious slow starters, isn't bad as such, but Dundalk can take a lot of confidence in the first 3 games, particularly here, the way they dominated the second half, and fully deserved their draw on the night. Let me know what you think in the comments. Now, Friday night at the Brandywell, of course, again, 4th home game in a row for Derry City. They take on Waterford FC. Derry City have 4 points in 3 games. Waterford FC have 2 points in 3 games. And Derry City will welcome Barry Cotter. They signed Barry Cotter, which is a very good signing. He can play right wing back or left wing back. I reckon he plays right wing back for Derry City because of the options they have on the left. For Waterford, they signed a couple of players as well. Will Johnson came in on loan from Fleetwood as centre back. And John Houston might fix their right back problem. I wonder if people get the reference, but yeah, he's in at right back, and which probably means Luke Heaney can move into midfield. It'll be interesting to see some of these new players generally play, what the fitness levels are like, etc. But Derry City will want to win here big time. They're probably fortunate to have 4 points from 3 games. To be honest with you, Waterford still looking for that balance for me in the team, and last week they went with Lonergan and Hammond up front, which was the right decision for me. But if Houston can play in this game and fix the problem, I think Luke Heaney may move into midfield. Will Johnson was actually a player we had in the Rachel transfer window show probably about 3 or 4 months ago. Surprised he's only signed now, particularly when he's come from the sister club Fleetwood. But there you go, he's signed anyway. Derry City, I think they need to get Adam O'Reilly back in the team. I don't know what Derry City fans think of that, but look, O'Reilly gives you energy, and McLean probably hasn't really worked as a kind of a holding midfielder in the last 3 games. I think Devoy got the upper hand in the last day as well, so they don't want to be in a situation where does McLean fit in, but they've that situation with a couple of players, and Nat Clark as well is kind of slightly out of position. They need to start playing players in their best position, I think, to give them a better chance. So that's something Lynch has to sort out quickly for me. But I think Derry City will get a win here, and I think they'll win it by 2-1. Derry City 2, Waterford FC 1. Brandywell, let me know your thoughts. Now at Sullivan Lamb Park, or United Park, even Hunky Dory Park, if people remember that, Drogheda United will take on Shelbourne, and there's always been a needle between these two clubs. It dates back to the first division a little bit as well, where they were kind of going head to head a little bit. It's always had that needle, these two teams, and an interesting game, particularly from Shell's point of view. Shell's Barrett could be out for a long time, Paddy Barrett and Oran Casey, so they've acted accordingly. They've brought James Roach back from his loan spell at loan already after 2 games. And they've brought in another central defender from Cambridge United on loan, Eamon Rossi. So, it'll be interesting to see if any of them play in the game. And Meepo looks like he's out for a few months as well. So a couple of problems early doors for Shells. 2 points from 2 games as well against Galway United and Waterford. They need to try and control the midfield in this game. But Drogheda United should go into the game with confidence. 7 points from 3 games. Disappointing performance in Dundalk, but a good result. And they've had a lot of problems in the last week, Drogheda United. And they just want to get back to normality. And typical Drogheda, if they came out and won this game in many ways, whenever there's anything, I don't know, adversity, etc., Drogheda United are always well up for it. And it's a difficult game for Shelbourne. Technically, they could do with a win big time, but they certainly can't. They could do without a defeat here, I think. Because it'd be a very bad start if that was to happen. I still think Drogheda United lacking the striker department, to be honest. Thomas Alou works very hard, not going to score many goals. I'm not sure if Warren Davis will be back for this game. He's been out injured as well. Kareem, he has his moments, a bit up and down as well. But Shelbourne, Lundgren, the Freitas, I have a feeling will both start. Lundgren played in the last game as well. They need Kerr McEnroy and Harry Wood to be on form here too. But I feel Drogheda are going to pinch this one, and who knows, could be top of the league outright. But Friday evening, Drogheda United 1, Shelbourne 0. Richmond Park, St Patrick's Athletic will take on Dundalk. And I spoke about Dundalk and their draw against Shamrock Rovers, how well the start they've had. They'll have no fear going to Inchicore. Absolutely no fear going to Inchicore. Pat's first home game of the season. They'll have a Friday and Monday scenario this week where they have 2 home games. So they'll get off to a good start at Richmond Park. And their form at Richmond was decent last year, to be fair, to say the least. Not a disastrous first 2 games, I would say, but uninspiring. Obviously drew 0-0 Diviv against an informed Bowls and beaten 2-0 at Tally against Shamrock Rovers. The question is, are Keane and Matt or even one back for this game? Because that'll be a major boost for Pats. They were missing both of those, obviously, in the last game as well. And obviously James Brown signed for the club, an excellent player, the former Drogheda United man. But is he going to be fit enough for this game? I'm not so sure. He was out injured for Kilmarnock. I'm not sure where he's at in terms of fitness levels. So he may start on the bench. Who knows? But I'd imagine Pats will go 3 at the back again. Dundalk, very impressed with how they've played. I think Bobby Burns will come back into the team. The likes of Kenny will come back into the team. J.R. Wilson has been very good to start the season for them. Pats will have more control of the game, I think, in the middle of the park, to be honest with you. But they're going to have to watch Dundalk because a lot of their play comes down the wings between the full backs and the wingers. Particularly in the left, I've noticed with Burns and Horgan. If Pats play wing back system, they don't want their wing backs to be pushed back by the 2 either. So, that could be interesting to watch. The how Dundalk attack. Pats will definitely dominate the midfield, I'm sure of it. Prediction wise, I think this one might be a draw. Another draw for Dundalk. I'm going to go for St Patrick's 2, Dundalk 2, Richmond Park. Connacht Derby, first Connacht Derby season, takes place at Eamon DC Park, and it's not strange, but Galway United are on 1 point, and after 2 games, Sligo Rovers are on 1 point after 3 games. But I think Galway will be the happier with the start they've had. They were unlucky against Drogheda United, missing a penalty, scored that, and they at least get a point, and then they conceded a late goal against Drogheda, who've done well in the opening games. 1-1 draw at Tulka Park and Shells. Sligo, 3 games, played 1 point. They'd be delighted with their point in Waterford. Probably forced them to get a point though. Waterford missed a penalty for a start. Get very poor against Bowls. decent performance against Derry, but then they ran out of energy essentially in that game. But Galway be the happier with the start they've made, and in terms of performance, I think overall, Peru, they needed a striker. They've added France Peru as well, and they'll be hoping to get some of the Drogheda form there. Could end up being a handful for them. He's a big lad, so he could be key. Sligo Rovers would be delighted as well because I think they lacked a little midfield, so to get McManus back on loan from Bohemians is a fantastic signing. Not only is he a good signing, but they've had him there before, so he knows how to operate under John Russell. This one will be fiery, I think. I have a funny feeling Galway are going to pinch this one down. Galway United 2, Sligo Rovers 1. The Dublin Derby. I'm not sure how often the last few seasons that Bows have been top of the league when they've come into the Dublin Derby, but they're top of the league at 7 points. Haven't conceded a goal yet, which is very impressive. Great result in Derry City, which they deserved. Great performance in Sligo Rovers as well. So 6 back-to-back wins on the road is fantastic. Obviously, their other home game was at the Aviva. This is the first home game of the season, really, you feel, at Daleyman Park. Certainly is the first game at Daleyman Park, and it's Shamrock Rovers. Shamrock Rovers, 4 points the first 2 games. As I said, difficult for them playing Friday and Monday in their first 2 games of the season. They probably made too many changes. Reality against Dundalk, 8 changes and all. I think their starting 11 probably be closer to the team that started the game against St Patrick's Athletic on the Friday. They've obviously signed Asamoah on loan, brilliant signing. I think Asamoah is a good player. Added a bit more pace with him, Brennan, in the team. I feel they have a little bit more pace about them too. Generally, I think Sobowale, another one as well there. So I think their starting 11 will be very close to the one that played against Pats. Bows, I don't see too many changes to the Bows team. Why would you change? Especially when you're playing week to week at the moment, unless there's injuries. Dougie, will he come into the side? Maybe. I'm sure Colin Whelan will play again. Very solid at the back. Mullen, Todd, Hickey have settled brilliantly so far for Bohemians. Dara Perra, as I said before, really good sign at right back. Finally a right back for Bowles. He can also play right wing back. So it'll be interesting to see if Bowles have alternated a little bit, if they stick to 4 at the back, go back to 3 at the back or whatever, but they've alternated a little bit there, and it'll be interesting. I find when Bowles do well against Rovers, generally, especially at Daleyman, they press them high from the off. Rovers will have to be ready for that if that happens. And even though you wouldn't say, if Bowles win the game, they're obviously 6 points out of Rovers still have the game in hand, but still be a massive win for Bowles. It's early in the season, I know that, and you'd say to yourself, you'd probably still say Shamrock Rovers will probably finish ahead of them. Even most staunch Bowles fans would say that. But it'd be an interesting dynamic if Bowles were to win this football match. Dawson Devoy midfield is playing really, really well at the moment, and if you were to ask me who's the best central midfielder in the league right now, I would say Dawson Devoy. He's always been good on the ball. His off-the-ball work, I think, has improved immensely in the last year or so. Hugely in the last year. Not really sure why as such. Just age, maturity maybe. Learning, I don't know. Difficult to know, but it's improved big time. That's the facet that's really improved for me, for him. So Healy, the likes of Healy, be it Jack Byrne, whoever plays in there, feeling Byrne won't start, but Healy, Dylan Watts probably start. They'll have to be in form in this game. And I want to see, I'll be at this game Friday, I want to see a good crunching derby. Both sides unbeaten. First game at Daleyman. Really looking forward to this personally. Result-wise, I think Bowles might do it actually. And I think they'll do it by 2-1. Let me know what you think in the comments. So guys, we'll leave it there. Give us a few predictions for the games on Friday. Subscribe. Thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye.